I feel like that was probably the hardest thing that I had went through in life, because it was one of my lowest moments. And I say that because this brings about the embarrassment, because it's like, it's already embarrassing that you're in a position where you're allowing someone to just constantly just make a fool of you, in a sense, right? And you're making a fool of yourself at this point, because you're constantly allowing this person to just disrespect you, cheat on you, like devalue you, like you aren't important, right? And that was the embarrassment. But from doing all of that, I feel like the restraining order thing was like the tip of the iceberg, right? Because at that point I was so lost and so confused. Like you said, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have no one telling me, Asha, like, this is too much. Like, we need to chill out. Like, this isn't love. This is getting to a point where you're now jeopardizing your future and the things that you can be doing with your life for this man who clearly doesn't care. And so at that point, I started to go into like this deep depression. No, I wasn't like clinically like diagnosed, but I knew that it was like a depression. Because I was constantly like, I would go and try to talk to him or try to communicate with him. He wouldn't answer, or he would answer sometimes. And when he did, it was disrespectful. I would try to like, if I tried to see him to try to talk about things, like it was always these things that was just constantly tearing me down. And so, like you said, I'm thinking like, oh, this is the person that I love. At this point, I'm thinking, oh, we've been together for so long. Maybe we are going to have a future. Maybe we are going to be together for life, because there was times where we did have those moments, but it was constantly overshadowed by the negativity. And so with all that in my head, I was just like, I can't do this no more. I'm not going to get emotional, y'all, but I was at a point where I felt like I didn't know if I wanted to continue on with life or not. Right. I hadn't experienced that emotion before ever, where it was just like, I'm ready to just end it all. Right. Because I had never loved so hard, in a sense. I felt like I never loved someone, or someone didn't love me to that magnitude of a male in a relationship. So for that to just be like completely broken, and it feel like I was never going to feel that again. Like people say, oh, I'll never love again. Like that's how I felt. And to have something and to lose it, even though it's so toxic and it's not really true love, or it's not really healthy love, you still identify it as love in a sense. To just lose it, it was just like, I felt like I lost a huge portion of myself. Right. And so I remember, my voice getting all shaky now. I remember calling him while he was like at work, just calling him, trying to talk about things, trying to figure things out. And he was giving off the same response, like I was saying. And so I drove to the Delaware Memorial Bridge, right? It was at night. He was working a night shift. It was late. It wasn't a lot of cars on the road. And I drove there and I parked on the side of the bridge. And I called him and I was crying. And mind you, it wasn't even just like now, because I'm able to process it. It wasn't just him and the breakup, right? There was a lot of things that contributed to it, right? Whether it was home life, things that I was going through. Like I said, from seeing the toxicity from previous relationships with family members, thinking that, okay, this is what my life is destined to be like, because look at this experience that I'm going through now. It was so much that contributed to it. And so I went to the bridge and I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I felt like I went there for a cry for attention from him, right? So it was like, I'm going here and I'm letting you know how hurt I am. I'm letting you know how badly what you're doing is affecting me, how much I love you, that I'm willing to just like end it all because I can't be with you or things can't work. And I sat there on the phone crying, and his response was still the same. And when he hung up the phone, I contemplated why I was there. Was I there because I just wanted attention for him and I just wanted him to be my knight in shining armor and like be like, you know what, this girl loves me. She wants to be with me this bad that she's willing to, you know, risk it all in a sense. Let me go and just talk to her or go and save her from how she feels, right? Mm-hmm. I contemplated if it was that or if it was I really didn't want to bear life anymore. And over the course of what seemed like hours, which was probably only minutes, he had called one of my family members who then ended up calling all of my family, right? And before I could even get to the point in my mind where it was like, I'm actually about to get out this car and do something that I will more than likely regret, it was a knock on the window.